Okay, what's up people? Welcome back. So I am working on the new engine for the Silverado. If you're not following up to this point, I bought the truck at an auction and it had a broken piston in it. So got a pretty good deal on the truck. Right now I'm just working on starting to do the DOD delete steps. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to TIG weld the towers instead of plugging them. So I'm going through, I already cleaned them up with like a stainless brush, got all the oil off of it. Now I'm just going through with a torch and I'm going to try to cook some of the oil out of the towers, and then I'll go through it and start to TIG weld some boogers in there. So what I'm trying to do here is get, and you can see it, maybe I'll zoom in on some of them. This block is cold because it's, I'm in Wisconsin, so it's like 30 degrees outside right now, so everything is really kind of chilly. So it's got some condensation on it when it heats up, and then I'm trying to cook some of the oil out of the towers. I can't remember if I said that or not. So I'll zoom in and let you guys look. So that's all I'm going to do for now. I'll probably use a lot of cleaning action on the TIG when I'm going through this before I start adding. I mean, these are basically oil channels, so I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit dirty, but we'll see what we can get out of it with the welder. All right, I'll take you guys along for the ride. This is the first time I'm going to try it. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to start on 100 amps and just see, well, how dirty this thing is, and I don't know, we'll try it. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty dirty. I'm going to try to go over it a little bit more and smooth it out. Just really contaminated because it's a oil passage. Alright. So that took a little longer than I thought, but it's not too bad, I guess. We'll get a little bit better on the next few. Alright, I think I got a little bit better system now after that other one. It was a little quicker anyways. It's still a little ugly and boogery, but so I'm going to go over and just clean it a lot first. That's not so bad. So I'm just going to keep going and do the rest of them. Alright, so let's do another one, because I know there's going to be somebody that's worried about heat input into the block. So I'm going to show you the temperature with the gun right after I'm done welding it. I think you'll be surprised. that one I think I even went a little longer on. So that's right at the base of the tower. 170, 165. It's like 250 right on top of the weld. Right when I'm done welding on it. So it's actually not too bad. 204. Base of the tower is 125. So right at the top is 150, 140 already. It's cooling down pretty fast. I mean, it's aluminum. Dissipates heat quickly. So if you're worried about it, it's not getting much hotter than like normal running engine temperature. So that's pretty cool. Almost done. It's dinner time. It's dinner time, boys. Gotta go in. Alright, all done. DOD done. Alright, so that is all 8 of them. All done. Alrighty guys, here it is. So my favorite part about making videos is when I forget to push the record button and I make like a 2-minute clip, and then when I go to shut it off I start recording. So that's what I just did. Now I'm going to re-record this part. So I think I'm going to leave the welder out because I'm going to do a little bit more welding on the Mustang over here tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to do an intake air temperature sensor bung. So I'm going to weld that thing on there. But tonight what I want to do is put the new oil pump on. Milling oil pump is like 59 bucks. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting the balancer and the timing cover off. Flip it over. I am going to do a Gen 3 oil pan. I have a spare sitting around. So this one is like the DOD style pan. It does have like a pressure relief valve. If you haven't seen it, I can show it to you when I pull the pan off. But those pressure relief valves sometimes fail, so I'm going to put a Gen 3 oil pan back on it. And yeah, let's go. All right, so I got the motor flipped upside down, got the balancer off, timing cover off, oil pump off. I did loosen up the pickup tube, and I'm going to replace the O-ring. The oil pump does come with the new O-ring, but this is what happened to it when I tried to take it off with a screwdriver, pried it back, and it just cracked because it's all kind of hard and crusty. So good idea to replace the pickup tube O-ring, especially when doing a new pump. So that's all good. These are the differences I was talking about. You guys don't know. There's this is the Gen 4 pan. You can tell because it's got these little bolts with a plate underneath it, and it has this pressure relief valve inside there. So the Gen 3 pan doesn't have that pressure relief valve. And I've heard that these things can actually like leak or whatever and cause low oil pressure. So I'm just going to put the Gen 3 pan on. I'm going to leave this gasket on there. This one's good. They're riveted down, so I can tell that this one's actually a factory install. And this one wasn't replaced at any time, unless they put new rivets in it. But I do have a stack of new gaskets, so I'm going to put the new oil pan gasket in. I ordered like 5 of them at one point a while back. Yeah, I'll probably clean the surface up a little bit, put a new gasket on it, and throw it back on. So yeah, I'll come back when that's done. All right, so there's the pan with the new gasket on it. And actually, remember where I got this pan now. This pan was on the engine that's in the Mustang right now, but I have a Holly pan on there now. So that's where I found it, sitting under the workbench. So new gaskets on there. I like these gaskets because they actually hold the bolts in place, and you just stuff them through there. So you can flip it upside down and put it on the engine. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put the timing cover on, and then I'm going to make sure that it's flush right here, and then put a couple dabs of RTV on there before I put the oil pan back on. So timing cover, dabs, and then oil pan. All right, so timing cover. That timing cover gasket is okay. I checked it all. I'm just going to reuse that gasket. These gaskets are, mostly designed to be reused. So a lot of them I like to reuse as much as I can because they're just the rubber O-ring stuff. Usually when I'll replace them is if they separate from the metal, or they're bonded to the metal there. If the rubber's separated, then I'll usually replace them. But most of the time they're pretty good. So let's go here. I'm gonna start hand threading a couple of them, and then just to kind of get everything lined up. And then I'm not gonna tighten them all down until I make sure that it's completely flush here. So I'll get them close to snug. Now I'll make sure that these are as flush as I can get them. What I usually like to look for here is that a little bit of the rubber from the gasket is pressed out into the pan. You can kind of feel the gasket press out and make a little hump. All right, so I got 2 more. These are going to go in here for the oil pan. But now I'm going to get the RTV out and then we'll do the dabs. All right, so now you can see I got the little dabs of RTV on there on both sides where the timing cover meets the block. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put the oil pan over the top. I guess this is actually the bottom, but who's picky? All right, so now I can go ahead and just gonna make sure all the bolts are lined up. These long bolts for the backside of the pan are an M6. They're not an M8, they're like a skinnier bolt. And they break real easy. So be careful, because I've broken a couple of them. Alright, so now I'll just do the classic heat method. Alrighty guys, so this stuff is all done. I'm still waiting on a couple things for this. I'm waiting on the new head, and I'm waiting on the DOD delete cover. Even though I plugged these holes, I am going to go with the cover also. The DOD delete cover is basically just like a flat plate. Some of them have O-rings to block the towers, but I like to plug the towers and use the block off plate. So this here, you can see there's actually an oil channel in here. So the oil passage comes up the back, goes to the pressure sensor, and it also comes back into the valley cover here. So you still run the risk of it bleeding from the top side through the cover, past the solenoids. You can't use a Gen 3 cover because I don't think it would fit in there with the knock sensor wells. They would definitely hit the towers like that one on the backside. I'm pretty sure that one would hit. And the block isn't threaded for the oil pressure sensor, like that M16 1.5 thread pitch. That's not there. So new cover is basically just like this, except it's flat, has some O-rings on the bottom, and has the oil pressure tower. And I'm waiting on a dipstick, the dipstick. But yeah, I think I might cover this and try to start putting the engine in. I don't know, we'll see. But that's where I'm at right now.